I do a lot of marriage counseling. A lot of people come into my office and they're like, I probably shouldn't have married this person. I knew I shouldn't have married this person. There were warning signs and I ignored the warning signs, etc., etc. Happens a lot, but now they're in it to win it. They wanted to work it out and they're married. I commend them for that because we all can ignore warning signs sometimes. I'll give you a story about me ignoring warning signs. Luckily, I was young and dumb and had time to not get married and ignore warning signs. But when I was about 20 years old, I was a sophomore in college, I think, and I met this girl. We'll just call her Nadine. Nadine is not a real name, not even close. But we'll call her Nadine. And Nadine was in her last year of graduate school, getting a master's in business or something to that effect. Real smart, but she was a real small girl. She was probably maybe 5'4", weighed about 105 pounds soaking wet. And I mention this because I was scared of her in the end. I was in great shape. I weighed about 175 pounds. I'm only 5'9", and played football all the time and basketball and racquetball and ran every day and worked out, 5 times a week in great shape. And by the end of my time with her, I was afraid of her. So I met her, and the first day I met her, she told me about the wedding she wanted. And she wanted fountains and animals, like elephants near the fountain and all this stuff. And now she had this picture, amazing coming to America kind of wedding. And I was like, wow. And I said something like, what about all the waste from the animals? Would there be a problem? She's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And we started dating. I liked her. She liked me. She seemed great. She volunteered food banks and homeless shelters and help all these people. And she was smart. And there was a song out by India.Arie at the time called Brown Skin. And one of the lines we used to love, we used to hold hands and be like, I can tell where your skin ends and mine begins, and all that lovey-dovey nonsense. And there was a bunch of little small things that's like, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. I kind of ignored it. This story's about 2 big things that I ignored and I shouldn't have. I was a saxophone player, and that's how I made my living for about 6 or 7 years of my life. That's all I did was play music before I started teaching and whatnot. And we're playing down in New Orleans one day, and she shows up at the gig, and I'm on stage it's a restaurant with a stage, and I'm on stage at this restaurant, and she walks in, she's swinging her hands, come here, come here, come here. I was like, I'm not getting off the stage to come there. And so she gets on the table and starts screaming. And all this stuff. So, of course, I get off stage then and run over there because I don't want the police called or anything. And it was something her friend said that I said or something, some kind of nonsense, just blown way out of proportion over nothing. And that should have been it. Like, okay, I don't need this drama in my life. It's over. But I didn't break up with her. Continued to date her, went to church with her, all this jazz, had a good time, hung out. And then fast forward about 4 months, I got a recital, my sophomore recital, and I go by her apartment about 4 hours before the recital. I go by her apartment just to say, hey, see what she's doing. I didn't see her at school that day, but I hardly ever saw her at school because she was in grad school. I was an undergrad. And I walk into her apartment and she's cooking. She's got a knife in her hand and she's chopping up something. And I'm sitting down. She turns around, stands between me and the door with a knife and starts accusing me of stuff. Talking about people. I was like, who? Who are you talking about? And I realized she's just talking about people in the school band that people saw me with. And I was like, yeah, they're in the school band. And she's yelling, and she's swinging a knife around, and I'm scared. And she finally realizes that I'm just in band, so I hang around all these people because we got to practice and play all this music together. And she calms down, and she puts the knife down, and I immediately leave. But when I leave, I go and get my car, and she runs out to my car. So I just want to talk. I was like, no, I'm gonna leave. And she starts banging on my window. It sounds like the window's gonna break. And again, she weighs like 105 pounds. And so I was like, let me back up. I'm not gonna hit you. And she grabs my windshield wiper, not the part that you change every once in a while, like the whole middle part. And she rips the entire thing off. And then I leave. I'm like, this is insane. You know, and I don't go back to my apartment because I'm scared she's gonna show up there. And so I go to a friend's apartment, tell her what happened, my homegirl Jill, and Jill's like, "Want to go beat her up?" I was like, "No, Jill, I don't want you to go beat her up. Let me just chill here for a while." And I fall asleep on the couch. And I wake up. It's like had been an hour, so okay, maybe I go back to my apartment. Go back to my apartment, get ready for the concert, put on a suit and everything. And I get to the recital hall, and my parents are outside. And I see my mom. I was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, mama," and talking to her. And I look over and I was like, "Where's Pop? Where's my?" And my little brother came too. And I was like, "Where's Pop, my little brother?" And I look over, and there she is, Nadine, taking pictures with them. Introduced herself as my girlfriend. I hadn't told my parents about her or anything. Had introduced herself as my girlfriend. And my dad's like, "Oh, look at you, you got a little tiny girl with you, all this stuff," making all kind of dad jokes. And my mom was like, "Well, it's nice to meet you, everything." My mom was like, "She seems nice." And my brother's like, "Something's a little off." I look up at him, he's like 6'4". Look up at him, he's like, "Something's a little off about this girl." But nothing I could do then. I got to play the recital. So I played the recital, and my parents leave. Everything goes well, and I'm one of the last people to leave. I'm trying to get a recording of it from the IT guy, and she's sitting on my hood of my car, and she apologizes and everything, and I don't break up with her. I should have, because the story goes on for a few more months. I end up calling the police on and all this stuff, and this is years before I ever dated my wife or anything. But it's like this, I should learn my lesson, but I didn't. So I'm not judgmental of people when they're like, "Oh, I ignored these warning signs." You never know what people are going through. Sometimes it's just like me. I just ignored them. I was dumb. I should have paid attention. Should have listened to my instinct. Like, okay, I don't need this girl in my life, but I didn't. And sometimes people feel like they could fix somebody. They feel like, "Hey, I can fix this, and we're gonna work out things to get better when we get married." But if things aren't good before you get married, they're not gonna get better after you get married. It's people are people. People is people.